welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I am your host, Andres Robledo, and as always, I am joined by the great Pablito Robledo, first Charlotte FC manager of FIFA 23. Pablo, how are you liking the new game?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good so far. I'm at the top of the tables.
What do you like about it? Let's give us a 30-second review.
Good pace. Good free kicks. Good selection of teams. I don't know. I've been on FIFA 19 for like ever now, so I needed to update. So went out, got a PS5, got the FIFA 23, and so far so good. I've only called out of work one day just to play it.
Not bad, not bad. All right, well, there you have it, folks. If you're on the line about buying FIFA 23, or if your kid's bugging you for it, that's a review of the game. It's pretty good. All right, let's jump into the episode. A little bit of news. Um, foreshadowing of the episode later today. Danny Rios was selected Player of the Week in MLS. This is the first time we've had back-to-back Player of the Week. Serderski was the last Player of the Week, and now Rios. Very well deserved, I have to say, after a 4-goal game. And Paulo, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I think we covered this in the last episode. Rios has been in much better form the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 games than he has been like the whole season. I wish we would have seen these type of performances earlier. I still think that, you know, um, we should definitely consider trading him. Transfers in the winter, especially just the performances he's put. Because I still don't think that he's going to be that type of player that is consistent. Even in these past game, yes, he had 4 goals, but most of them were like, easy tap ins. You still have to work to get open in that open space, but it's like, I don't know. You put anybody else there, I think they can make it.
Yeah, I mean, not to be negative and bag on Rios, but again, 4 goals. That's almost his whole MLS career in one night. Probably don't expect that going forward. And I kind of agree. Like, I think the plan was to move on from him in the offseason anyways. Like, he's, been playing better lately, so he's probably upped his value a bit. Like, why not cash in on that at the end of the season? But right now, I mean, I'm glad he's hitting form at a crucial part of the season. Hopefully, he can continue to step it up and score goals like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, even like at the start of the game, you saw him just running up to defenders, whereas before he didn't really pressure defenders or anything like that. He just kind of jogged around. So it's like 2 totally different Rioses that we're seeing, and I'm not sure why we're getting the better half of him so late in the season when we needed him so much earlier.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of it could have to do with the switch of Karol Swiderski's playing position, but we'll get to that in the episode. Speaking of Swiderski, though, that brings us to the second piece of news. Rumors are he could be leaving Charlotte FC at the end of the World Cup. Apparently, there's interest from several different teams in Europe that are willing to, I guess,
Yeah,
activate his release clause of about 15 million, which, from what I understand, would be a very big transfer fee for an outbound MLS player. So kudos to the scouting department for finding Swiderski, and hopefully, if he does go for 15 million, we see some of that money reinvested into the team with either a $15 million replacement or a couple of $2 to $3 million guys or $35 million guys, however. But hopefully that money gets reinvested into the team to you know, secure some silverware for season 2 and not just going into David Tepper's pocket.
yeah, yeah. I thought he was going. One of the teams I also heard was in the Brazilian league.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
forget the name. I think it started with the F, but I think it was in the Brazilian league. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Um,
specifics like any teams or anything, at least on my end. I've just heard, one of the big leagues in Europe. If I was him, I'd probably would rather stay in MLS, where you're probably gonna dominate a bit more and be able to showcase yourself a bit more. Give it another season or two. Because I
right.
just feel like his style of play doesn't really suit the paciness of some of the top leagues in Europe. I just feel like he takes a lot of touches, or takes maybe one too many touches to settle a ball or something. So I don't know. I would obviously prefer to see him stay and become a big star here than become, I mean, I hate to say it, but I just if he goes to the Premier League or like La Liga or something, he's probably not going to be a big name player there. Just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a mixed emotions about him leaving. Like I wouldn't mind it. I think we could put the money to good use. Um, better strikers. But also at the same time, if we lose him, then and we don't replace him right away, then we're stuck with Rios and Shinshinsky at the top. I
Yeah.
think do we have another striker that's not active? I think he's on injury reserve.
Yep. Yeah. Vinicius Mello.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe because we haven't seen anything from him, but maybe he'll have something to surprise us with. But if we're stuck with just Rios, then that's the only downside to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I mean, I like Soderski. He's a good player,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Very
and
talented.
he's consistent too. For the most part, he's consistent. If he's not putting goals in, he's at least helping with like the assist or format of the attack. Whereas, Rios is not always like that. But he has been like in the past 3 or 4 games, like he has been getting so much better, just pressuring defense, getting in there on that final attack and third.
And setting up
Um,
players as well. I feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
last.
setting up players and actually like I liked Rios at the beginning because he was so tall. I thought he was going to be like an aerial threat. And he's shown that. I think when New York came to Bank of America and he had that header, I was
Hmm.
like, man, like so maybe it goes back to what you said, like if they put Soderski at the top and Rios is not included, maybe that was like um, a downfall on our formation, and
Yeah.
we just kind of found that missing piece of the puzzle so late in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
because I definitely want to see him in the next game. Every game right now, we have 2 games left, and they're both must wins. But I think Rios right now is in good form. He needs to start um, the next 2 games, and we need to like keep that same type of formation. It seems to be working.
Yeah, I think unfortunately he won't get to start this Wednesday just because that game is going to resume at the 16-minute mark.
Right,
So it was like whoever was out there is going to be out there. I think with the exceptions of Kalina and Koruho, because both are injured.
right.
So we'll see changes there, but it'll be based off of players who are on the bench. So it'll probably be Zabozinski and Marks, at least from what I've heard.
Rio's
uh,
not on the bench for that one.
he is on the bench, but he's not starting. So I don't know if
But
they're
he can
gonna.
get subbed in real quick.
Yeah, this thing I just don't know if we're gonna burn a couple substitutions right away and just play the 75 minutes, which I guess you could do. Um, but I'm not sure what they're gonna do. Who knows?
I would do it at least just for him.
Yeah, I
That still
mean,
leaves you what 4 players on the bench with which you can do 2
yeah, you can do
per
two and
sub.
two. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That still leaves you plenty of options.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Any other news or anything on your end?
No, we do have the winner of one of our first bobblehead giveaways. So stick around for that your name or your shout out towards the end, if we don't forget.
Yeah. And yeah, so whenever we shout you out, just send us a message either on Instagram or Twitter. You can just DM us and we will sort out the shipping of the bobblehead.
Yes, it's all
Awesome.
covered.
So let's jump into what was supposed to be the final home match of the season. Crazy that we're getting towards the end of the season. I feel like we're still just started. But man, we played arguably the best team in the league, maybe second best team in the league at home on another do or die night. Fan
Yep.
appreciation night as well. They opened up the upper section. You had almost 44,000 people in the stadium. That is absurd. If you go back and look at the highlights now, you see pretty much the whole lower bowl is full, which is awesome to see. And turned out to be a pretty historic night. Not the way I personally thought this game was going to go. I'm sure it's not the way you thought the
I
game
don't
was going
think
to
anybody
go.
thought it was gonna go this way.
Yeah. To give you some like backstory, obviously, as you know, mom and dad came with us to the game, with Jen and I to the game. And I was kind of telling them, like, it's going to be fun, but you're probably, unfortunately, we're probably going to lose and miss out on playoffs tonight. Kind of might be the end of the season, uh, but at least it'll be a fun night out. And man, did they prove me wrong? And boy, was that, if you were going to go to one Charlotte FC game, this is the one to go to. A 4-0 historic win over Philadelphia Union. I think it pretty much puts the supporter shield out of their grasp or makes it a lot harder
Yeah,
for them to get,
no,
which
it's
is
that they're out.
awesome. So that always feels good, to crush another fan base's dreams, just like we did with Chicago. Um, and man, I mean, just what a dominant performance and what a way to uh, kind of get your revenge over an early season matchup where we got completely outclassed before. This game was another outclassing, this time by us. And man, what a fun night. What'd you think of the match, Pablo?
No, I'm right there with you. I didn't think that we were gonna pull this one out. I think we said it in the last episode. If we get like a draw, then that would be as close enough to a win as it would get. And I didn't expect the result that we got. Certainly thrilled by it, but I mean, just Philadelphia all season long has been such a powerhouse. They're just like plowing through teams. You got uh, when they played DC United, they beat them 6-0. Then they played the Colorado Rapids 6-0, Atlanta United 4-1, Red Bulls 2-0, Orlando City 5-1. So I mean, they're just like killing teams.
And not
Um,
only that, but I believe one of the best defenses in the league as well. So, I mean,
yeah, I mean
going into it, it was
that.
like, man, this is going to be hard to score.
Yeah, I think they and poor DC United. Each time they've played them, the second time they played him was a 6-0, and the first time they played him was 7-0. So
Oh,
it's like
man.
they just been getting crushed. Like Philly has not been taking it easy on a lot of these teams, but yeah, not sure what happened when they came here. Um, Maybe it was the pressure that because they were tied for uh the Shields Cup, the Supporter Shield. I mean, maybe it was that pressure and they gave in, or I like the. Although our squad was totally different from when the first time they played us.
Yeah.
Is
Hmm.
different formation, different coaching, different mentality. So it worked in our favor. They were basically facing a whole new team.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know
Um,
what changes have been made in the Philly squad since then and
well, you would
now.
think none the way they have been performing,
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there have been a few. Every team goes through changes over the courses of a season,
right?
but I'm sure not as radical as a an expansion team that fires the coach halfway, not even
Yeah.
halfway through, and lets go of like 4 or 5 players. So yeah, they totally faced a whole different squad.
Yeah.
Ironically,
I
though,
mean,
I
we
think
got
Rios played in both games, right?
um I'd have to maybe look that up. I would probably think so. Because when we played Philly, it was during one of those away games, like that during one of that long streak. So
Yeah,
most likely, but yeah, Philly was facing, new coach, basically a new back line, uh,
yeah,
new wingers, even a new goalie.
yep. I was gonna say, I think the only person in that back line was Walks, and that was, I think, the first time we saw Walks was against Philly in that three
I think
five
you're right.
two, where he did not have the best performance, but Saturday night, man, he did. Uh, Totally different player.
Yeah, yeah. What'd you think of Pablo? He made his debut there
I was a
as a
little
goalkeeper.
nervous just because
I was
he,
excited to see him.
yeah, I mean,
He's a he's a tall, lengthy goalie. I like that.
yeah, he definitely looks like your more traditional goalie, but I was just a bit nervous because I think Kalina didn't get injured until towards the end of warmups. So you're just kind of
Mhm.
throwing someone in like right before kickoff. And again, in a super high pressure game, going up against the best team in the league in a moment where, if we lose, season's over. You're the goalie. There's already extra pressure on you, and now you're, that backup goalie going into this game with like very little time to kind of mentally prepare. So I was a little nervous for him, but I mean, when he made that first save, that long distance shot, I mean that that was not an easy shot to save, and he just kind of dove and caught it, and I was like, okay, I think we're gonna be fine because that's a tricky shot to save, like that kind of low driven shot that just kind of stays low and goes through like 4 or 5 different people. And he looked really solid. He came out on corner kicks really well or in crosses.
Yeah,
So yeah, after 20, 30 minutes, I felt super comfortable with him back there.
yeah. And I thought he, like you said, he came up and got those cleared those corners and that one shot. Man, that was a heck of a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he handled it pretty well. I thought he handled the pressure just fine.
Yep.
Enough to prove himself that if Kalina's down, we got a real good strong backup.
Yeah. And we saw a little bit of him during the Chelsea match where
Right.
he was
Yeah,
like,
that's why I wanted to see more of him.
yeah, and he did the PKs there. Um, so no, I
Yeah.
agree. I was got pretty comfortable with him pretty quickly. So let's jump
Yeah.
into the first half. How are you liking this back line of Awful, Walks, Malanda, and Brian?
I'm good with Malanda. I'm good with Brian. Walks is starting to kind of gain favor back in my books. And Awful on that left side works just as well as he does on the right side. So I think we have a real strong lineup in the back. And we definitely saw it on this game. I mean, it's not like Charlotte just came out and dominated Philly. I mean, although the score says otherwise, but like Philly was also attacking us a good bit, especially in that first half. It was like back and forth, back and forth. Like we'd be
Mm-hmm.
at their end and then boom, counterattack they're on our end. And our defense, I mean, I think if Fuchs would have been out there, he would have had to get a sub for sure because there was a lot of running back and forth. Um, because the way we play, especially in the outside defensives, they gotta make those long runs um, on the outside to get those crosses in or help with the crossing. I don't
Yeah.
think Fuchs would have been able to keep up. We saw Brian um, make that one sliding tackle from behind.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man, he covered like 30, 40 yards really quickly to
yeah,
get back and make that
yeah, he
tackle.
did,
I
and
really
that
don't.
was just one example of like some of the defensive work that doesn't get put on highlight reels.
Yeah.
Um, Malanda had a real I mean, he cleared out a lot of crosses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So just both those two guys, like, we just got those two guys not too long ago, but they're certainly proven their worth. And like Awful has just been consistent, strong, and Walks has been getting better. So, you know, like I said, the defense does not get enough recognition, and I think they did an excellent job on their half to just keep us alive because there was a lot of chances where Philly could have put one or two in just to game a little tighter, but our defensive wall didn't let up.
Yeah, two things I wanted to shout out real quick were I felt like Philly definitely tried to force the ball down the left hand side a lot, and Brian was just a brick wall there. I mean, it just felt like that guy never got past him. Or if he did leave like some space open, he always shut it down really quickly. Um,
Yeah,
he and Vargas worked really well together. I thought they were combining pretty well, and then Awful has looked great over on that other side. Playing his weak side, I guess. But man, the combination between him and Yazwiak, I feel like he has elevated Yazwiak's game. He's made him look so much better on some of these like breakaways. He set him up with his passing. Um,
yep, yeah,
so it's been I really like that back line that we have going forward. Uh, be interesting to see if we see Fuchs back in there, which I'm sure we probably will. But we'll see how he adapts to this new back line. But we've looked solid defensively as I can think of all season. Man, we looked really good Saturday night with that back line.
yeah. That was another player you just mentioned, Jazviak, that I felt had a really good game.
Yeah, two
No,
assists.
I know, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and we criticize him a lot, but that's just because of the role he's in and um, the money's getting paid. And I feel like he should be doing that every single game, not just once every 5 games.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
he had two assists, both obviously both to Rios, and then he also had the pass back to Santos that got us the PK. So I mean you could
yeah,
count that as like a third. Uh, he did really well to just basically charge at that Philly back line and force them on their back foot. Uh, that's
yeah, just keeping those plays alive.
one thing I've really liked from the offense lately is, playing like on breakaways, like just taking advantage of that space and, just playing forward and getting into like a 1v1 or a 1v2 and waiting for people to run into the box as opposed to like what we did, in the first half of the season. A guy would get on a breakaway and just stop, at 30 yards outside of the opposition goal and just wait for everyone to catch up and then play that slow possession game again. And it was like, no, we're finally taking advantage of like these situations, especially with all the speed we have. And you got
Yeah,
Yazwiak, you got Vargas, you got Gaines. Like
yeah.
finally
Oh,
we're
Gaines was crazy fast on this game.
yeah.
Um, we can probably cover this later on when we get into the second half, but like, I think it was Philly that played the ball back almost to their keeper, maybe, but like Game was just running at him full speed. I'm like, my God, he's fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Um So back to the kind of just overall performance of that first half. Another player I wanted to shout out in the first half though is Jones. This is probably the first half, especially, is probably the best he's looked all season. Very calm on the ball. Would get it in a tight space and just did not panic at all. Like just would turn, find space, and distribute the ball like so well. Um, Man, he is just like the perfect player in that defensive center mid spot. It makes getting back look effortlessly, makes good tackles, like clears the ball out well. And again, just like can turn a player and beat them and then like have all this space and time to find the right pass. Like super good player. And it was funny when we were leaving the game, that was the one player that dad like picked out. He was like, "Man, I really like that Jones guy." And I was like, "Yeah, we do too. We talk about him like every episode." Nice to see he's finally getting the consistent minutes. But he had a great first half performance. I think a little shaky in the second half, but overall, really good game. Another good game under his belt, and glad to see that he's consistently getting those minutes.
No, yeah, yeah. I think you and I have both called out how we like Jones, and now that he's getting all these minutes, other people can see why.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so back to the first half. Like you said, very back and forth game. Uh, what I thought was very interesting from our performance was it was kind of atypical performance from us. Of we did not have possession. Uh, dominantly. We didn't pass the ball around like we normally do uh, to keep it. I felt like we were. We had the ball less, in fact, I think in the first half than Philly. I think they actually outpossessed us, but we were way more efficient with our chances and just creating chances. And you can see that obviously in the scoreline of just ending the first half in a 1-0. But it was just nice to see us play like a more like attacking style. Like we'll do it with less, and just be like nice and quick and efficient about it. Very interesting to see that we can play different styles now.
Yeah, yeah. Very true.
And again, great
Very
play by
true.
Yazurek there to set up Rios for that nice tap in. Just good team play overall. Anything else in the first half you want to shout out or take notice of? Anything you wanted to look over?
No, I think we covered the first half pretty well. And like you mentioned that first goal, I mean, going into the second half, winning is always just kind of a, I don't know, good feeling to have. Gets morale up, and it was just like, hey, let's just get one or two more in, and then we can just chill the rest of the game. But these guys just kept at it the whole 90.
Yeah,
So I was pleased with the way the first half ended.
yeah. I mean, great. Another player who's like, so many players I feel like had their best performance Saturday night, and I guess you can tell from the score sheet. But Vargas, I thought he looked really dangerous against Philly. Almost set Bronico up for a goal, but he just
Yeah,
looked way better in his decision making, like when to dribble, when to cross, like when to just pass it back to Brian or Jones and kind of recycle the play. Um, I think that performance for me like kind of cemented why he's like starting. Like you can see the potential starting to like come out, and uh, as he develops, he's going to be, I think, a very dangerous player on that wing. Um, so another good performance by him.
yep, yeah. They all did really well.
Yeah, and kudos to Bronica too for getting to that header. And think a guy his height could jump that high, but man, he got up there.
Yeah, I think some more training uh to kind of like just work on that skill set, and he'll start getting those in uh probably next season, but like he'll start getting more of those in and see more crosses coming his way.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, just good on him to be even in that position and go for it. Because Rios was right behind him, so one of them was gonna get the header.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, another good performance by him as always, which is nice to be saying now. Anything else
Yeah.
in the first half?
Uh, no, no, I think that was it. I mean, I was glad we went up. We closed the first half with one goal above, and we didn't let Philly tie. Because at times it felt like they were going to, but it's good to start the second half winning.
Yeah, and at halftime, I had tweeted out like, I thought we looked way better than Philly. Maybe not way better, but I did think we were the more dominant of the two. I mean, obviously with the goal, but it didn't feel like a game where we were like getting outclassed or they were that much better than us or anything. It felt like by halftime, it felt like we could win this game. Like that goal wasn't a fluke. And I'd kind of said, if we can get one, two more goals, like this game is I think we could shut them out 3-0. Like I could definitely see that being a result. Obviously they went above and beyond that. But one thing I really liked was I think at times Charlotte has like struggled to, and it's funny because they either have done it at the beginning of the game or at the beginning of like the second half of just coming out like really slow, like not awake, not playing to the same intensity that they ended the half at. Uh, and I
Right.
felt like this game, they didn't. Like they just kept right where they left off, and you could tell it was like getting to Philly. Like we were just beating them down, like kind of exposing gaps and taking advantage of it. And we saw it with the I believe it was a pretty early second goal, right? Like
Um. Go. Oh, in this. Yeah. Yeah. The second goal.
yeah, I mean pretty early in the first or in the second half we got it. What is that? 54 minutes or so?
Yeah. We were only like I don't know, 15 minutes in. I think to that second half when that second goal came.
Not even 8 minutes in, 53rd minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just kind of like what should have been really a dead play, and Yazbek wins the ball back in their box and just plays Rios in for another tap in. Good intensity by them, and good play by Rios. He kind of like waits a second to set up his shot and beats a guy and puts it in that lower corner. You know, good
Yeah.
second early goal to just kind of again cement that dominance. Be like, this is not a fluke. Like we are, we can beat this team. Like, yeah, I thought we totally
And
outclassed them from that point.
very similar to just like the first goal. Like, Yazviak just keeping the play alive and then getting the ball to Rios, and Rios taps it in. It was like, just following the formula, um, practicing probably or executing what they practice on off the field, I would think.
Yeah, I think a little scrappy goal like that. I'm sure that's come from scrimmaging on the practice ground, and probably a little bit of chemistry between the two of them starting to develop. Like Yazbek knows, like, hey, if I just get this in front of the 6 yard box, like Rios is going to be there. Um, so yeah, I mean, another good team goal. Another, I mean, I really don't have much more to say about the overall game of just good team goals. Good substitutions used by Latanzio again, bringing on Santos and Alcivar. Uh, Bringing on Shinyasinski, like just a good overall team performance. Yeah, I feel like there's just not a whole lot to say besides that. I don't
Yeah.
know. What was your
No,
take
yeah.
on the second half?
Um, I think it was right after the second goal. Philly had a couple corners. I thought, because typically we give up so many goals on corners.
Yeah,
But Pablo just was snagging him out of the air, or Malanda was just getting him out of there. Um, so it seems like we're finally really kind of cracking down on that. Um, Besides that, uh, it was about the same. I mean, just like same type of performance we got in the first half was the performance we got in the second half. It was just solid defense, counterattack, and shoot the balls.
yeah. I really liked what I saw out of Santos this week too. Like creative passing.
Yeah,
Like
Santos was uh, just dribbling great all over and getting in the open spaces like crazy. And when he lost the ball, just chasing guys down.
yeah,
I know he didn't put one in, but Santos had a really good performance.
got the PK for us.
Yeah, yeah,
Set
yeah,
up Gaines for the assist. Like that pass he had for to Gaines to get that to for Gaines to then pass it to Rios. That was a nice little flick, and just like one
yeah,
two around guys. Like man, he's different quality. He's kind of like on that Swiderski quality, which is nice to see. Alcivar had a pretty good game as well. Nice to see him back in the team and kind of starting to step up to his role. I thought he looked decently at times.
yeah.
And just another good
Going
performance by Gaines. Like, I mean, it's hard to say he should be in the starting lineup just because of how well Yazviak and Vargas played, but shoot, I mean, coming off the bench, like just another weapon to add.
going back to that PK, I heard the commentator saying that Swiderski was wanting to take it, but Rios was just kind of hanging on the ball.
As he
Was
should.
like, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, get that hat trick for sure.
Yeah, come
Um,
on.
but you being there and having just a different point of view, Was he throwing like his usual Swiderski hissy fit, or is he just like
Not that I
because
can
they
recall.
cameras weren't on him, but that's just what the commentators were saying.
It didn't seem like it. I mean,
No, that's good.
yeah. I mean, I originally did think he was going to take it, but at the same time, I was like, you should just let Rios have it. Like, he's more than likely going to score it, right? Like, the PK, the odds are kind of in your favor.
Yeah,
And he was, obviously on good form. Like, let him get the hat trick. I don't know. Game's almost over too at that point. Like, but I don't think Swiderski put up a fuss or anything, at least that I recall. I think we would have seen a clip of it if he did, and someone would have gotten it, I would imagine. But I
yeah,
don't remember it being a
yeah.
big deal at all.
Well, that's good. That's just something the commentators had mentioned, and I was like, well, he's definitely off camera, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
everyone wants to take the
that's
PK
good.
when they get it. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
Yazwiak
Although,
and wanted to take it. I'm sure Santos wanted to take it. Like everyone wants to take a PK. It's like, yeah, I want to get a
yeah,
free goal.
yeah, and that goalie, I mean, he guessed it right. He was just late.
Yeah, but again, it's like you're just so like at a disadvantage when it comes to PKs.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I think like the
And I
average
think it
save
was
rate is like less than a third of the time. So I take those odds.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
and
shoot,
then
it felt like by the time we got the PK and got that third goal, it felt like Philly gave up. I mean, I remember I don't know if it's in the highlights, but they had a chance kind of like maybe mid 80th minute, like maybe 84th, 85th minute, where I think it bounced off our goalie or bounced off a player and kind of fell right to a player and could have been a simple tap in, and he like just no effort hit it out of bounds, like to the side, like not even like close to being on target, and didn't really care that he missed it. Just kind of started running back and was like, oh, they gave up. Like they've got no fight left.
no,
Um,
yeah, Philly gave up probably after that PK.
yeah, I
I
mean,
would
you give
say,
up a PK, you give up a red card.
yeah, yeah. It was just like I wonder if their fans just thought like the refs were against them or something like that.
Felt like a
I
pretty
didn't think
fair
the
game.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we got our fair amount of yellows, and
What'd you
they
think
got
of the
their
ref
good bit.
actually?
So one thing I did hear was that this is the third time that ref has called the Charlotte FC game. He was there for I believe the Miami game, and I can't remember the other two. Oh well, this one and some other one, but I didn't think it was terrible. I thought some of the yellows he gave were pretty soft.
The first one, yeah,
Um, yeah, that
and
one
Broncos.
and Broncos. I was like, man, that I mean, I felt like if you're gonna give a yellow for that, you should both players should have got a yellow.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the red was automatic, obviously,
So was
but
it
it
an
wasn't
automatic red or was
terrible.
it double yellow?
No, it was double yellow.
Gotcha.
Um, but I mean, obviously, double yellow is automatic red.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. I just didn't remember if he just gave him a straight up red or if it was like a double yellow.
no, I don't think that would have been like if he didn't have that yellow. I don't think that would have been a straight red because I think the only way you get a straight red is if like you
It's like clear and
purposely
obvious.
deny, yeah, like uh deny the goal scoring opportunity like very purposefully.
Like Suarez
Um,
2010 World Cup style.
yeah, exactly. Um, but no, I thought the ref was okay this past match. Like the ref in his best when they are not visible or they don't interfere in the game that much.
Yeah.
And I felt like the ref did that just fine.
Yeah. I guess I felt like he was pretty consistent, pretty fair, like compared to other refs we've seen this season. And it's just funny because the reason I, ask is like that was the second thing Dad said about the game was like, man, that ref was terrible. I'm like, you have clearly not been watching the other games this season because that was probably one of the better refs we've had. Like just MLS
Yeah.
refereeing. I mean, we say it like every episode, but MLS refereeing is just extra bad usually.
Yeah, I don't know if we just I don't know. Like I said, it's the reffing is at its best when you can barely even notice they're there.
Yeah, I agree. Or at least be consistent. If you're gonna call a lot of stuff, be consistent back and forth.
Yeah,
Which I
yeah.
felt like again this guy was. So happy with that.
And the extra time wasn't too excessive, things like
Yeah,
that.
that feels like it's was probably one of the shortest we've seen. 3 minutes. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there was no real injuries or anything, so that was good.
Right. No time wasted. Like
No fights.
even I even noticed it out like on corners that the side refs were like hurrying players up. It's like, hey, get up here, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then I think eventually it was in the 90th plus minute that we got the fourth goal by Rios.
yeah,
Gaines with the assist.
yeah. 91st, 92nd. Just another good play by the team. I mean, you got Santos and Alcivar kind of 1-2ing around players. Santo with the
Yeah,
nice little flick out to Gaines, and I mean Gaines just
yeah,
with like that perfect placement pass. Like he is. I feel like any criticism he's gotten early this season, he's kind of like shut up. Like that was the one thing missing from his game, and like it's starting to like flourish. Like he's starting to kind of become uh, a guy who sets players up and just gets them in good positions. So
yeah,
nice to see that he's pretty much got all the weapons he needs now. Really,
yeah. Watching the game on TV, the commentators or one of the commentators had stated how he thought Gaines was going for a shot, and he had to like look at the review. But I was like, so that wasn't a shot at all. Like
no,
that was
yeah,
that was definitely a nice little low cross.
mm-hmm.
But they cleared it up eventually once they did go look at the replay on it. But no, yeah, I feel like Gaines with that speed, and now he's like starting to set those crosses in. Like he's got a nice little curve ball he can send in there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. He's looks way better than he did at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
And again, it's like, man, like to see him in the starting lineup, but don't really want to see him over Vargas. No, I guess I could take him over Yazwiak, but again, Yazwiak looks so good. I don't know if that's the right move to make or even fair or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's just hard to break into being a starting winger right now. And even at the forward
yeah,
position now, too, you got Rios on form. Like, the offense is just really starting to click.
yeah, yeah. And Gaines, he didn't really like even at the beginning of the season, he looked good. He was just making some dumb mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Just no experience or very little experience, and now he's starting to get it, and I'm sure learning from more experienced players as well.
Yeah,
No Reyna in the game, which is surprising to see. He kind of feels like the latest players who continues to put in a good like performance. Even when he was like getting starts, he was playing very well, and just kind of has seemed to been dropped for I don't want to say no reason. Maybe there's a reason, or the reason is everyone else has stepped up so much. But just crazy that he's not getting any playing time with how well he was. I mean, he was kind of like the key playmaker for a couple weeks there.
yeah. It's funny how they kind of take turns like that.
Yeah,
But I could see that. I mean, Yazviak seemed to have like kind of the hot hand on getting those assists. I mean, two for the night. That's probably more than he's had in 3 or 4 games altogether, at least.
yeah, yeah,
Probably
totally.
more.
Yeah, I think he's only had one assist all season, and that was pretty
Right.
recent as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is another, kind of thing I like about this coach is like he's willing to let players kind of earn their spot back, things like that. Which we saw with Yazviak and Rios.
Yeah.
So um, overall, uh, good good team performance and good coaching.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I don't think we mentioned was it is rumored, or I think pretty much confirmed, or all but confirmed, that Latanzio will be handed the head coaching position with a 3-year contract. That being said, a 3-year contract doesn't mean a whole lot. He could still be let go within 2 or 3 months of the next season, but I think he's going to get a whole off season, and I'm sure at least 12 games of the next season as the actual head coach, no more interim. What do you think of that? You think well deserved? Are you excited to see what he does with a full off season and a winter transfer window, or do you think they should have gone elsewhere and picked a more established coach, or what?
No, I think he's definitely earned that. I think a lot of people before these past couple games had put Charlotte out of the running, especially after we lost one of those home games there, and now we're just 2 wins away and a couple of, um, you know, unforeseen games. But we're almost at the playoffs,
Hmm.
and what I liked about it is that he kept fighting. Um, he just stayed true to the plan, and he he didn't just like give up. Um, he showed fans that Charlotte still had a fighting chance.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think he's totally turned the team around, done it with less resources, less amount of time. Like, I'm excited to see what he can do with a full season, and like really excited to see what he does with the front office for the transfer window and who they can bring in. Because I mean, if it's anything like the last transfer window, and you bring in 3 guys like Santos, Bryan, and Malanda, I mean, you bring in 3 other guys of that caliber, or 3 or 4 guys of that caliber into this team. Uh, I think we're fighting for supporter shield next season. I really do, especially after that performance.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally agree.
So the hot topic right now is playoffs. As you know, they are still the dream is still alive. It can still happen. Uh, we need to win this Wednesday. That's not a new
Need to win both
situation.
games.
So I do believe there is a few scenarios where if we tie Red Bulls, we can still get in. Ideally, obviously, it's better to just win both games. But the Columbus game is especially important just because they are one of the teams that we are basically trying to bounce out of the playoffs. That we're fighting for
Yeah.
that 7th spot with them, with Miami, with Cincinnati, and Orlando. Uh, so big game coming up Wednesday, or tomorrow as you're listening to this. Going to be a must win game. What what do you think, Pablo? You think we get in? You think we just miss out? What are you hoping to see?
I think we can get in, but there's a lot of factors that go in it. Um, Especially like if we miss if we win the next 2 matches. So I have here, so it's like if Charlotte wins the next 2 matches and Orlando loses the next 2 matches and Cincinnati loses or ties, we're in it. uh or if Orlando wins the next 2 matches and Miami loses or ties, then we're in it. Orlando has to if Orlando wins the next 2 matches and Cincinnati loses, we're in it. If we win against Columbus and tie against the Red Bulls, and the only way we could really make it is if Orlando wins and Miami loses.
Which Orlando and Miami play each
Um,
other next, so that'll be a
yeah,
key
and then
game to
but
watch.
then Miami, like Orlando has to beat Miami, and Miami also has to lose against Montreal. So we need Miami to lose the next 2 games basically.
Yeah, come on, Montreal.
Um,
You beat us twice. Like, at least give us this. Beat Miami.
or we just win 2 games and Miami loses one and ties one. Like it's all very dependent on we have to win, and then Orlando has to beat Miami, and then the game after that, Miami has to lose. Is in a nutshell. Miami has to lose the next two games, and we have to win at least one of them and tie the next, bare minimum. Best case scenario, we have to win both, and Miami has to lose both.
Yeah.
But very doable. The only thing that worries me is we're on a bit of a run, winning streak. If you could say that we're on a winning streak, and we all know winning streaks do have to come to an end. So that's what worries me right now is going into this next match. The other thing is, like you said earlier, this is not a new match. This is just a match that got canceled due to weather. They're starting, I believe, like 17 minutes in already on the clock, and it has to be the same lineups that were playing, and I'm pretty sure also on the bench, with the exception of some of the injured players.
Yeah. So for
Um,
the lineup against Columbus, originally we had Kalina, Awful, Carujo, Walks, Mora, which is, someone we haven't seen in a while.
right,
Bronico, Bender, McNeil, two names there who've kind of fallen out a little bit. Gaines, Swiderski, and Reyna. That I'm pretty comfortable with and feel good about. Obviously, Bronico starting, I feel good about that as well. Bender and McNeil, I feel
not
fine
bad.
with. Yeah, not bad, but would like to see Jones get in earlier than later. The tricky
Yeah,
thing comes with Kalina and Kurujo. Kurujo's obviously out for the season. I think Kalina is probably not going to be, at least from what I've been seeing online, not going to be ready by Wednesday. I think he has either a shoulder or a finger issue that just isn't going to be ready by then. So I think what is going to happen is because we have George Marks on the bench, he will then become the starter, and that won't count as a substitution. And Sinyasigi, or however you say his name, he will then be put on the bench as the backup goalie, and then Koruho, obviously out for the season, won't be playing. He will be replaced by Sobozinski, who is on the bench. But from what I have heard so far is that we won't get to put another player on the bench for that. It still won't count as a substitution. We just won't get to put a player there. And Makoun was on the bench, but is no longer with the team. I don't know if they're going to fly him
right.
down from New England or what. I highly doubt it. But we will also not get to replace that position, at least, as of time of recording. That's been the decision made. So we'll be without two bench spots. That still leaves Yazwiak, Alcivar, Rios, Shinyashiski, Jones, and Lindsay on the bench. And again, the game is,
Still strong.
yeah, still, I think you can make some good substitutions there. Um,
Yeah.
and the game will only be essentially 75 minutes. We're going to start where they left off, which is, I think, the 15 or 16-minute mark. So essentially going to be about 75 minutes or more. So not even a full game, but it's going to be interesting. It's just such a weird situation. I felt like,
Yeah.
it's 0-0. No team was going to be at the time. Like, I don't think it was going to be clear who was going to win that game. I don't see why you don't just restart it completely. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, especially after it was called so early. But one good thing about it too is it's not just us that's kind of at a disadvantage or having to start with the same lineup and all that, but it's the other team as well.
Yep.
Um, so they got to figure it out. But yeah, we definitely need to win that one, and then we got to prove to New York once again that
Yeah.
we can do it.
I mean, that game I'm excited for because I feel like when we played New York Red Bulls at home, I think that was Latanzio's first
Yeah.
game, and we beat them 2-0. And it was still when
Yep.
we were kind of going through our like unbeaten at home phase, or basically unbeaten at
Yeah.
home. Uh, But I feel like we've looked way better on the road lately as well. We're finally starting to play well both home and away. We're starting to beat teams away. We beat, Chicago away, New York away. So I'm excited to play Red Bulls again. And I definitely think, if it comes down to that game, I could definitely see us winning it. Like, I have no doubt about it. Like, the team is just looking so good right at the crucial part of the season, and they're starting to look at home and away. So I say, bring it on.
Yeah, yeah, same here. I'm excited to see how they do this Wednesday, and then, like you said, um, I want to see just what they can do against New York on the road. I feel like New York is another one of those teams that we're slowly starting to build a friendly little rivalry against.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching them play Columbus after our game, and man, they're just a rough team. Like, they just do deliberate fouls, like, just a very dirty team. I mean, I guess you got to respect it, right? But I'm sure it agitates players and stuff. But I mean, I'm excited to see what essentially is this new Charlotte FC team. Everyone hitting form, like what they can do against them, because they are going to be a tough opponent. Obviously, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We still got to get through Columbus, again with our kind of weird situation there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it can be done. Columbus is, I would say, right around our skill level or maybe slightly below. I don't know. Um, so we'll see. If you're Latanzio, are you making substitutions like right away to put in like Rios and Jones and or whoever, or what would you be doing there, or would you let the game play out for a
No,
bit?
yeah, yeah, let it play out for a bit. I mean, it's you're practically it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes in. Let it just play out, see how players respond to each other, um, and then try to figure out where you need to make your formation stronger. Especially because right now we got to go for the win, so I'm expecting subs to be most likely like Rios going in, um, Shinashinsky going in, um,
I think he's starting,
Jones.
right? Or
Is he?
no? No, 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 no. He's not. Just kidding.
But anyways, more attacking players going in. Um, or maybe we get lucky and we get like one goal in before the first half ends. Then just grind it out. Just grind out that 1-0.
Yeah. Are
Um,
you nervous at all with the back line that's going to be playing? I mean, pretty different back line. Well, I guess two key pieces will be missing in my eyes. Malanda not being there and uh, Mora playing over. I guess Brian now. Uh, are you nervous at all about that back line?
no, no, I like Mora. I think Mora probably doesn't get enough credit for some of the games that he's played in and the performances he's put in. But I'm fine with Mora. He's a solid defender.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel the same way about Mora and same about Sobozinski. Like, I think he's a really good defender who just hasn't gotten his credit yet, and is hard to beat out Malanda and Walks in the form that they're at right now. And he's so
Right.
young too. Uh,
Yeah.
but I agree. I think he will do just fine Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah. Looking
closing
forward to it.
comments or anything?
Uh, no. I mean, what's the game is at what 7?
7. Yep. Any score
Yeah.
predictions? I feel like we haven't done that in a while.
Uh, yeah. I'm gonna go with a solid 2-0.
Solid 2-0.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I'm thinking 2-1. Thinking 2-1
2-1.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's 2-0 just because I always think the goal differential
Yep. Yeah, and who
definitely
knows?
helps
It may
us.
actually come down to that. So we'll have to see. All right.
Yeah.
So should we get to what everyone is waiting for? The bobblehead giveaway winner, Pablo. Who wins the
Yeah.
first bobblehead?
All right. So let me read a couple of these shout outs. First. Okay, so this one is from M Beckett 425.
And just to be clear, these are just shout outs, not the winner.
Yeah, these are just shout outs. We'll announce the winner here shortly. But M Beckett 425, it says great podcast, amazing. Hashtag Outsides Podcast. This one is from CLTFC fan. It said it has become quite apparent of how Charlotte FC's fandom has elevated the team and organization as a whole to be just another expansion team. I don't know if I read that right. This podcast is evidence of that as fans engross themselves with Charlotte FC to deliver perspectives that not only promote the team but also brings about a culture and identity for years to come and cultivate that the team and fans can rally behind. That was probably the longest shout out I've ever read. It says wonderful initiative. So thanks, CLTFC fans. Shout out. Let me see. Oh, we got two more. This one's from Brandon Slack. It's just great content. Love listening. Thanks, Brandon. Shout out.
Shout out.
And oh, here's another one. CLTFC fan 88. It says wonderful initiative. Fantastic podcast that really shows how the fandom of Charlotte is stepping up and helping create. Oh wait, I think this might be a repeat. Well, that's a different guy. It says stepping up and helping create a culture of and identity for years to come. So if this is a repeat, then repeat the shout out. Shout out. But yeah, we had a good bit of them.
Nice.
Nice to be getting those. But yeah, so the winner of the first bobblehead, and we got two more bobbleheads to give away. We'll do the second one after this Wednesday's game, which we'll probably record.
Should we do a bonus episode this week?
We'll probably have to do a bonus episode just because there's that random game into Wednesday.
I agree.
And then the last episode after the New York game. But yeah, so there's still two more bobbleheads out there. So if you guys want to enter, just go to our Instagram or Twitter and figure out how to enter from there. So you just gotta like and subscribe some stuff, leave us a 5-star rating, use the hashtag Offsides Podcast. Fairly simple to figure out.
Give us your social security and credit card number.
Yeah.
No, that last part's a joke. Just a joke.
Yeah.
All right, they're dying to know who won, Pablo. Let's who won? Okay. Who's the lucky draw?
So this one is the shout out back in September. It says AMPDL, says fun podcast to listen to. You guys always make me laugh. Let's go Charlotte FC. It's a little blue heart and a black heart, and that's why I picked it.
All right. Well, AMPDL, whether you follow us on Instagram or Twitter, send us a DM, and we will, get your address and we will ship you the bobblehead.
Yeah, I think I might have their information on Instagram. I'll have to make sure though. Yep. But yeah, congratulations. First bobblehead winner.
Nice. And again, we'll be giving out two more, one after the Columbus game and one after the New York Red Bull game. And if we make the playoffs and win, Pablo's going to give away his PS5. That's legally binding. He can't get out of it.
I'm in a different country.
All right. Well, this was a fun one to record. We'll see you guys for a bonus episode. First one ever. It's going to be historic after we hopefully beat Columbus, keep the playoff hope alive, and we will catch you guys on Thursday. Not next week, but Thursday. We will see ya. Bye.
Bye.